What if moving to the other side of the world feels less like a new beginning and more like your entire reality has been quietly, politely turned upside down? This is the unspoken epiphany that dawns, not in a single dramatic moment, but through 1,000 tiny, cumulative shocks for the American arriving in Australia. It's the slow-motion realization that every single assumption you've carried about how daily life functions, from the mundane act of ordering a drink to the fundamental physics of your own bathrooms, not a universal truth, but a local custom. You haven't just traveled across an ocean. You've slipped into a parallel dimension that looks sunny and speaks English, but operates on a completely different set of instructions. The first confrontation often happens before the jet lag even fades, in the sacred morning ritual: coffee. An executive from Portland, Oregon, a man fluent in the complex liturgy of the Starbucks menu, walks into a sleek cafe in Surrey Hills. He orders a large black coffee, envisioning the familiar, comforting vat of mildly caffeinated hot water. The barista, a study in calm efficiency, replies, "Long black, sure thing." What is placed before him is not a large anything. It's a small ceramic cup holding a dark, opaque liquid that seems to absorb the light around it. It smells incredibly rich, nutty, almost smoky. He takes a sip. His taste buds, expecting a gentle nudge, receive a declarative statement. It's strong, concentrated, and complex. It tastes like coffee decided to introduce itself properly. Instinctively, he looks for the condiment station, the pumps of vanilla, the carafes of half and half. There is none. He catches the barista's eye. Cream, sugar. The barista offers a sympathetic smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes. "We don't really do that here, mate. It's meant to taste like that." In that moment, he doesn't just want dairy. He wants the comforting cloak of dilution, the familiar mask of sweetness. He is being told, gently, that his relationship with coffee has been one of consumption, not appreciation. He is being asked to respect the bean. It's a spiritual crisis before 9 a.m. This culinary reprogramming continues at the breakfast table. An exchange student from Wisconsin is offered a bit of Vegemite on his toast by his bemused host family. He sees the dark brown paste, and his brain, wired for chocolate spreads and sugary peanut butter, prepares for a sweet treat. He spreads it with the generous, celebratory thickness one applies to Nutella. The first bite is a profound, mouth-puckering betrayal. It is intensely salty, savory, with a deep, almost beefy umami character that feels completely alien on toast. It's the taste equivalent of expecting a hug and receiving a firm, unexpected handshake. He grabs for his orange juice, which does nothing to help. His hosts watch, trying not to laugh. "You used a bit much, mate." It's a spread, not a topping. He has just learned that in Australia, even breakfast condiments demand nuance and restraint. Your palate is not being catered to. It's being educated. But the true, visceral re-education begins when you step outside. The American relationship with nature is largely one of managed spectacle. National parks are visited. Hikes are taken. Wildlife is observed from a safe distance. In Australia, nature is not a destination. It is a pervasive, cohabiting reality with its own agency. A backpacker from Vermont, seeing a kangaroo grazing peacefully in a suburban park, thinks, "How delightful." A real-life Skippy. He approaches for the perfect Instagram photo, a living postcard. The kangaroo, finished with its grazing, turns to look at him. It doesn't hop away. It rises onto its powerful hind legs, balancing on its tail, and squares up. Its muscular forearms, ending in sharp claws, hang ready. It is not scared. It is assessing. It looks less like an animal and more like a bouncer deciding whether to let you into the club. A local walking his dog calls out, "I wouldn't, mate." He's not in the mood. The backpacker freezes, his phone feeling suddenly very flimsy. The moment passes, the Roo drops back to all fours and hops off. But the lesson is branded into the tourist's psyche. Here, the animals are not part of the scenery. They are citizens with personal space and clearly communicated boundaries. As one might say, Australia doesn't have pests. It has wildlife with seniority, territorial rights, and often a better sense of personal space than you have. This renegotiation of risk extends to leisure. A surfer from San Diego catches waves at a beautiful break near Byron Bay. Feeling confident, he calls out to the lifeguard, "Hey, any sharks around?" He expects a definitive all clear or maybe a joke. The lifeguard, scanning the water with practiced eyes, shrugs. "Should be fine. Haven't seen any today, probably." That word probably hangs in the air, heavier than the surfboard. It carries with it the acknowledgement of a shared, understood risk. It says we are in their domain, and we proceed with a polite, mutual awareness. The American spends the rest of his session not in a state of flow, but in a state of heightened, twitchy radar, imagining shadows beneath every wave. The ocean is no longer just a playground. It is an ecosystem where you are a guest. And the apex predators didn't get the memo about your vacation plans. The assault on your autonomic nervous system continues. As soon as you try to get anywhere, renting a car seems straightforward. An engineer from Detroit gets behind the wheel, adjusts the mirrors, and pulls out. His muscle memory, honed over decades, immediately guides him into the right-hand lane. A blaring symphony of horns erupts. A truck the size of a small house bears down on him. His passenger shrieks. He swerves, heart hammering against his ribs, back into the left lane. A teenager on the sidewalk shakes his head and yells, "Wrong side, champ." For the rest of the trip, the simple, unconscious act of driving becomes a conscious, exhausting mantra. Left, stay left. Turn into the left lane. The roundabout goes clockwise, which feels counterintuitive. Everything is backwards. A simple trip to the grocery store becomes a white-knuckle exercise in cognitive dissonance. Your brain must actively fight every instinct it has ever developed. You are not driving. You are debugging your own spatial awareness in real time, even the climate. Something you think you understand is in on the conspiracy. A real estate agent from Phoenix scoffs at Sydney's forecast of 35 degrees Celsius. That's like 95 Fahrenheit. "Please, we do 115 before breakfast." He goes for a walk at noon, eschewing a hat or sunscreen. 2 hours later, he is a changed man. The heat in Australia is different. It's not a dry, oven-like heat. It's a wet, clingy, immersive heat that seems to radiate from the pavement and the sky simultaneously. The sun doesn't just shine. It presses down. The humidity wraps around you like a warm, damp sweater you can't take off. He stumbles into a convenience store, red as a cooked lobster, buying the largest bottle of water he can find. Back home, he rasps to the clerk. The sun cooks you. Here, it braises you. Slowly, with feeling. The disorientation seeps into the most private of spaces. In a pristine public restroom, a man is confronted by the 2 buttons on the toilet. One is large, with a full icon. One is small, with a half icon. He stares. This is not a flush lever. This is a moral and environmental choice posing as plumbing. What constitutes a half-flush event? The ambiguity is paralyzing. He presses the small button. A modest, polite swirl. It feels inadequate. Guiltily, he jabs the big button, unleashing a roaring vortexual cascade that seems capable of solving more than just the immediate problem. He leaves the cubicle feeling judged by inanimate porcelain, having likely used more water than ever before in a single flush. Language, the tool you thought was your bridge, becomes a hall of mirrors. You ask for a thong to wear to the beach and are met with peals of laughter. You order chips with your burger and get a bag of potato crisps. You long for fries, but they are nowhere on the menu. A new friend says, "I'll knock you up in the morning," and you have a minor heart attack before learning. It means, "I'll give you a call." You compliment someone's fanny pack and create an awkward silence thick enough to slice. Every conversation requires a running internal translation. You are speaking English, but you are not speaking the same English. The supermarket is a gallery of the uncanny valley of branding. Where are the familiar red and yellow boxes? Where is the Hershey's? The shelves are lined with biscuits, cookies. Tim Tam's a superior chocolate biscuit that demands its own ritual, and mysterious meat pies. You buy a sausage roll, a log of seasoned meat wrapped in flaky pastry, and eat it standing up. Unsure if you've just had a snack, a meal, or participated in a national tradition. And then the sticker shock. A casual lunch for two, a couple of burgers and drinks nudges $50. A pint of craft beer in a nice bar is $16. You do the mental conversion to US dollars and feel a pang of nostalgia for happy hour and value menus. Your adventurous spirit bumps against the reality of a high-cost, high-wage economy. You came for the experience, but you didn't budget for the experience of paying $20 for a mediocre sandwich. Yet, woven through this tapestry of daily friction are threads of startling, positive disorientation. This is the reverse culture shock. You trip on a hiking trail and cut your hand. At the medical clinic, you automatically begin the complex, anxiety-ridden American ritual, fumbling for your insurance card, preemptively worrying about co-pays and network status. The nurse cleans and dresses the wound efficiently. "Right, you're all sorted," she says brightly. You wait, poised for the administrative follow-up. "Is that it?" you ask. "Yep." Off you go. Mind the steps. There is no bill, no paperwork, no financial specter attached to your bandage. The sheer, uncomplicated resolution of the problem is almost more shocking than the injury itself. You walk out into the sunshine feeling light, confused, and vaguely guilty, as if you've gotten away with something. This is the core paradox of the Australian adjustment. It's not that things are better or worse. They are different in 1,000 subtle, interlocking ways that force you to dismantle and reassemble your personal manual for being a functional adult. You don't just visit Australia. You have to renegotiate your entire contract with reality, clause by clause. The wildlife cosigns the lease. A woman from Oregon finds a huntsman spider, its leg span as wide as her face, motionless on her bedroom ceiling. She emits a sound previously unknown to science. Her Australian flatmate glances up. "Oh, him. That's Derek. He's chill. Eats the mozzies." She spends the night not sleeping, but engaged in a tense, nonverbal stalemate with Derek, who eventually ambles off behind a curtain. Leaving her to wonder about the terms of her tenancy, the scale of the land itself recalibrates your sense of distance. A road trip from Sydney to Melbourne looks straightforward on the map, a highway like any other. But the highway can stretch through hours of rolling. Empty bushland, where the only signs of life are wandering livestock and the occasional road train thundering past. The comforting, predictable tapestry of American interstates with their rest stops. Fast food clusters and gas stations every few miles is replaced by an ancient, silent, and profoundly indifferent landscape. Remote here isn't a description. It's a tangible condition. Your phone's GPS gives up, and you are left with paper maps and the sinking, awe-inspiring realization of true solitude. Social codes perform a quiet inversion. After a lovely meal, you leave a 15% tip on the table as a reflex of gratitude. The waiter sprints after you down the street. "Excuse me?" You forgot your money. Your generous tip is mistaken for a careless error. You have to learn that fair wages are built in, and that a sincere thanks "That was great" holds more value than a surcharge. Good service isn't a bonus you pay for. It's the baseline expectation. And underpinning it all is the Australian national demeanor, a laconic, dry-witted, unflappable calm. They witness your coffee horror, your driving panic, your spider negotiations with a kind of bemused, patient curiosity. Their equanimity in the face of what feels to you like daily chaos is its own profound lesson. Maybe the sun isn't actively hostile. Maybe you just didn't wear a hat. Maybe that spider isn't a horror movie monster. Maybe it's just a quiet, efficient roommate who handles pest control. Maybe the shark isn't lurking. Maybe you just need to swim between the flags. In the end, the so-called regret isn't really about leaving America. It's about the ego-denting, hilarious, and deeply humbling process of discovering that your normal was never universal. It was just local. It's the visceral proof of the toilet swirling the opposite direction trivial. Physical demonstration that the Coriolis effect applies to your assumptions as much as to water. It's in the accent that lovingly mangles your mother tongue, and in the coffee that asks for your respect. Not just your wallet, the traveler who endures this gauntlet of minor. Profound shocks doesn't come home the same person. They return quieter, wider-eyed. They've learned that large is a relative term. That watch for wildlife is the most serious advisory you'll ever receive, and that the most essential item you can pack isn't a power adapter or sunscreen, but the resilient, flexible humility to let a new, confident version of normal quietly dismantle your own and the wisdom to, eventually, laugh at the beautiful, bewildering chaos of it all. If you enjoyed this journey through the looking glass of daily life in Australia, give this video a like. It tells us you want more explorations of cultural contrast. For deeper dives into how place shapes perspective, subscribe to The American Storyteller.